Exporters and road users in the Apapa area have continued to complain of the impact of heavy gridlock which they experience en route to the port. Taiwo Salami is the Permanent Secretary in the Lagos State Ministry of Transportation. He joins me now to look at this challenge. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at 10. First, is there a way out of this gridlock in Apapa?
Yes, there is a way out. All we need to do is to have all the agencies synergize and then do the right thing. One of the way out is to get an international standard truck terminal that any truck that is coming into Lagos will first go and stay as a holding bay. Then there should be a call-up system into either the tank farms or the port, Nigerian port, that's Tinkan port. Because the Tinkan port capacity is 1.6 million TEU. That is 20-footer equivalent unit. But presently, the port is going more than that in operation, coupled with the proliferation of tank farms around that corridor. So you see the continuous use of the road with heavy goods plying the road on daily basis, while maintenance is at lower ebb. So the effect of this is what we are seeing.
So what must the government do now? Because this is a very critical, crucial expressway that, considering what it does, housing those critical infrastructure of storage facility for oil and gas. What must the government do to try to see that we move away from this phase? Because it's been quite long we've been on it.
Yes. I've said it, we need the synergy.
That's what the agencies.
Between the state
but
government.
What can the government do?
You see, for now, we need to have a standard truck terminal of which the Lagos state government has embarked on. We started fencing the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu truck terminal at Orile, which takes over 3,000 trucks anyway, and we are putting all necessary facilities into that area now. So all we need to do is for the Shippers Council and the Nigerian Port Authority to synergize with the state government. What they are doing by trying to move away those trucks away from Apapa, where are they putting them? You see them that is you are trying to move away traveling somewhere and you are putting it back in another place. So it's like a conspiracy model. If you now look at Ikorodu Road, Western Avenue, up to Ikorodu Road, up to Pan, you see all these vehicles now on that axis. But if you look at the other side too, at the Upper Oshodi Express, from the Tinkan up to 4th Rainbow, up to Sele, you see them there. So they've moved away from the bridge and they are back in another place with all the environmental and traffic security, safety impact that they are causing.
So is Orile, the new location you talked about now, is Orile going to be an attractive location for them to go?
Yes, you will need a bit of enforcement because for them to go into these truck terminals, they have to pay little. So we will need the buying of the NUPEN, we will need the buying of the PTD, we will need the buying of the Amato, so that all we need to come together and we have to resolve this thing. But leaving it alone to Lagos state government, I am sure it won't be an easy task.
Now, let's talk about loading of petroleum products, for instance. Just recently, 2 days ago, as a matter of fact, we had that incident at the Otedola end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, yes, where the tanker just went ablaze and a lot of people died. 54 vehicles were also destroyed in that incident.
Correct.
Can we move from the point that we are in now, where we transport petroleum products using tanker drivers, using those tank trucks? Can we move from there to something more civilized? Is it possible?
Yes. I think by tomorrow, the state government and Ministry of Transportation, we are going to make a press statement on this. Meanwhile, yes, why not? Hitherto, we used to have pipeline that move petroleum product from this Papa this thing to Mosimi, where they take this thing out. But unfortunately, with all this vandalization of pipelines and other things, things are changing. But let's wait tomorrow for the state government's press statement on this. Meanwhile, the state government will commiserate with the people that lost the family of the victims, and we pray that may their soul rest in perfect peace. But thank God for His Excellency Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, because when he came in on the 29th of May 2015, on the 2nd of June 2015, there was a 33,000 liters PMS, that's the petroleum motor spirit, that fell at Kwaja, and it was another thing entirely. But thank God no life was lost. Then 4 days later, there was another 33,000 naira diesel that happened at Idimu, that he has to create a sort of a reserve area for people, about 396 people, before they were reset to resettlement area. Again, the same day, in the morning of that day.
So this light at the end of the tunnel.
Another one at Lekki. So you look at this and say, oh, what is all this? The one that now make him to nip it in the bud was the one that told you Elegba that fell on the people. And we are now started looking for cranes and no, this is enough. He's not going to accept this anymore.
We'll be seeing lights at the end of the tunnel on the administration,
definitely, yes.
For Lagos State,
definitely,
perhaps
yes.
by extension,
definitely, yes. Lagos State is
thank you so much indeed, Dr. Taiwo Salami, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Transportation here in Lagos State. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us
very much
on the news at 10.
Thank you.
The former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, believes that the quality of education, especially in primary and secondary schools, calls for serious action. The former governor was speaking during some recent inauguration of reconstructed schools by River State government. The state governor, Nyesom Wike, mentioned his government's intention to introduce new measures to improve on the quality of education in the state. Our correspondent Emmanuel Eri reports.
According to a recent survey by the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, 65 to 75 million Nigerians are illiterate, with many of them unable to read and write short sentences correctly. The report also highlights that at least 10 million children are out of school, while a massive decay in infrastructure in most public schools is also considered a major problem. For the River State Governor, Nyesom Wike, and he believes constructive action is needed to change the narrative. He matches his words with action, starting with the government secondary school on there.
The name of God, and to formally put back in the day, and to God be the glory.
The former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, is Governor Wike's guest at the inauguration of the school.
You know, this 25, 30 years, by the time we're gone, these small schools will be about 25, 30 years old. What country are we bequeathing to them? What Nigeria? A country divided, defined by hate and violence, and a country which is also a leader of the black race.
Other areas the River State government is looking to revive in the state's education sector include a boarding school system and provision of well-equipped libraries and laboratories.
We say that we must bring back the boarding system so that I choose these schools and I choose a school in Bori, one in Obiapo, one in Ogubolo. We are building hostel for the one in government secondary school One. We are trying to bring back the boarding system so that students can pass through the schools. You know, when you live in school, that's quite different from when you are coming from home.
The former national chairman of the PDP, Ahmed McCarthy, who is also a guest of the governor, is impressed with the giant strides of the River State government.
I just wonder, if not for the distractions you've been facing, the milestone you could have covered. You are truly a man, you are truly a leader.
Others, however, believe that the provision of quality infrastructure should also go side by side with the recruitment of quality teachers and administrators for the school. while an evaluation of the school curriculum will also boost the level of education in the state. Emmanuel Iri, Channels Television News.
Let's shift our gears now very quickly, shall we, to business news with Anwaldo.
Thank you, Gimba. We begin business news tonight with the Central Bank of Nigeria's release of the balance of payments data for the first quarter of this year, showing significant improvement in the country's position. The statistics indicates a payment surplus of $7.3 billion as against $6.1 billion was posted in the final quarter of last year. Nigeria's current account balance shows positive outcome of $4.4 billion, which was due to increased import and export earnings and net surplus in current account transfers. In the first months of this year, Nigeria recorded a surplus of $5.7 billion, with crude oil and gas leading the export earnings with $14.3 billion. Import earnings increased to $8.6 billion due to rise in imports of petroleum products. And there's more data coming from the Central Bank of Nigeria. This time, it's Nigeria's Purchasing Managers Index showing an expansion of 57.0 reading in the month of June. That report shows that industrial production level, supplier delivery time and employment rate grew at a faster pace this month, while manufacturers' new orders and inventories moved at a slower pace. For the non-manufacturing sector, the general index shows a reading of 55.4, slower pace of growth in business activity, new orders and inventories, but a higher reading of 55.4 in new employment level. The Nigerian Stock Exchange has concluded the mid-year review of its market indices with an announcement of new additions and the removal of some component securities. In the NSE 30 index, Better Glass and Owando will replace Diamond Bank and Julius Berger. The insurance sector also received Consolidated Hallmark, Sovereign Insurance and Veritas Capital, displacing Cornerstone, Starco Insurance and Standard Alliance. In the oil and gas sector, Owando is the only security to take the place of MRS Oil. The NNC Pension Index has Africa Prudential and Continental Insurance, while Lotus Islamic Index brought in NACO in place of Lafarge Africa. The new indices will take effect on Monday, July the 2nd. And that's business news for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Oado. It's back to you, Gimba.
Still ahead on the news at 10, two of the world's best footballers, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo's hope for a World Cup title dashed after Argentina and Portugal crash out of the 2018 FIFA World Cup. That's on Sports News. Stay with us.